Hello, my name is Libby Hubbard, also known as Doctoress Newtopia. I intend to educate you about the need for arcology as a new social housing model. Arcology is a word coined by the late architect Paolo Soleri. It combines the word architecture and ecology. A prototype arcology, Arcosanti, started in 1970, is being built in central Arizona. Soleri thought a critical mass population of 5,000 residents was needed in the urban experiment, but now there are less than 100 residents. Soleri's architectural images presented in this slideshow are not up-to-date models, but are from his last major design project before his death. However, arcology can provide a new concept for our much-needed social housing. When used as a prefix, arc means to rule. Archetypes are ideal energy forms that live in the noosphere, the thinking layer of Earth. We inherit archetypal patterns from the collective unconscious. For example, when children are asked to draw a home, they draw a house even though they might live in a high-rise apartment complex. Housing archetypes evolve from our relationship with the natural environment. Our global crisis is one where our existing housing archetypes don't support our new climate reality. Let's look at architectural archetypes that rule our built environment. Neolithic people began marking burial sites with standing stones and earth mounds. A lintel connecting two standing stones creates a portal or trilithon. When enclosed, the doorway is the entrance to the aticule or primitive hut, a shelter designed to protect us from natural environments. People coming together through shared purpose and security form the civitas, a social organization on which cities are founded. Arcology combines the archetypes of the monument and aticule to build an ecological city for the people under one roof, protecting us from extreme weather events. Arcology is a whole systems design. Think of arcology as a living organism within the superorganism of Gaia, planet Earth. Arcology is designed for artificial intelligence to seamlessly run our infrastructure automatically, like the human body metabolizes food. Bodily functions automatically go on without one being consciously aware of them, just like in an AI-run transit system would automatically move people from place to place. With AI running the infrastructure, people have time for democratic governance, art, and science. It's an all-hands-on-deck, all-of-society moment to find a way to build a city with zero carbon emissions to keep global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial levels. Soleri's formula for the arcology paradigm is that when society peaks in complexity, it miniaturizes, reforming itself for long-term survival. An example of miniaturization process is the development of computing machines that once filled an entire room and now will fit into a cell phone. With a highly organized social life, the urban effect is when the flow of information and knowledge creates a quantum leap. Retrofitting the old structures for climate resilience can only go so far. We must build a new way for 21st century technologies. Metro Phoenix covers 14,587 square miles. Solari's Arcologies implode the sprawling megalopolis with more efficient designs. With complex pedestrian-oriented arcologies, there is less need for hundreds of miles of piping water and sewage, electrical wiring, roads, and highways. The national housing crisis is also a global climate crisis. In 2023 study reported that, quote, if a multi-day blackout in Phoenix coincided with a heat wave, nearly half of the population would require emergency department care for heat stroke and other heat-related illnesses, end of quote. Under such conditions, the researchers estimated that 12,800 people in Phoenix would die. Whereas killer hurricanes are fast-moving destructive forces intensified by human-induced climate change, the collapse of the Colorado River system is a slow-moving climate disaster caused by intense heat and drought. 40 million Americans rely on the Colorado River water. Archaeologists agree that the Anasazi fled the Four Corners regions at the end of the 13th century, partly due to droughts that led to violence and warfare. This picture shows some of the ruins at the Chaco Canyon site. Chaco Canyon was an indigenous civilization with an overarching design pattern that unified tribal society. Arcology reflects indigenous wisdom of how to live in balance with the environment. Genocidal wars that conquered the Americas instituted the real estate markets that fragmented the land. Under colonial rule, the once sacred land was now profane. The house represents the basic unit of the colonial city. The single-family house became the American dream. The genocide of the American Indians and the theft of their lands made a shaky foundation for Western civilization with its exploitive economic system. Genocidal warfare continues today over the airwaves and overseas. This picture shows my single-family house with solar panels and a fossil fuel car in the driveway. Is this sustainable? Can we retrofit houses and vehicles for renewable energy in time to reach the climate goals set by the 2015 Paris Accords? As more people in society live alone, the single-family house is isolated from the community and democratic responsibilities, leading to addictive behaviors and an addictive society collectively addicted to fossil fuels. As we step into our powers as conscious evolutionaries, using our powers to create simulations of future scenarios, we can understand why building arcologies makes good common sense in our struggle to mitigate and adapt to abrupt climate change. Building arcologies would be a critical factor in forming a global climate governance. Arcology can be divided into parts or sectors that reflect human needs. We need security, justice, education, wellness, relationships, art, science, access to communication technologies, and to be part of a healthy ecology. An ecological city under one roof allows everyone to participate in a unified image that allows for diversity. The fluid blueprint seeps into every cell like a hologram, sending a shared purpose throughout the body. Arcology cannot function without individual cooperation and an array of multi-talents working for the good of the whole. Arcology is a new way of living lightly on the earth so that future generations can experience the beauty of living on earth. Do we, as a species, have the courage to break out of our old dysfunctional patterns? Can we build back in a new way, non-violently? The Arcology model gives us a chance to see if we can break out of the boxes that enslave us, to see if we care enough about them, the future beings, to build with them in mind. Springtime in the lean, linear arcology. Climate scientists predict that some places on Earth will be too hot for life as the baked-in global warming continues to raise global temperatures. Outside agriculture will no longer be an option. Moving agriculture within an arcology might be our only solution to save us from crop failures and mass famine. This is a picture of the lean linear arcology's energy apron and orchards. Arcology liberates residents' inner lives, and residents take on the role of arconauts, prototyping a new way of being on Earth. Violence, war, corruption, and injustice have been dominant forces on Earth for centuries. With the paradigm shift in architecture, we move into the age of the healing biotope, where we transcend our collective trauma. The Fermi paradox asks, where is all the intelligent life in the universe? Why hasn't there been first contact with beings from other worlds? Astronomers have speculated that maybe there is a cosmic filter system when intelligent life reaches a point of becoming a space-faring species with the power to terminate itself. It chooses self-destruction rather than expansion into the cosmos. Arcology's work as a multi-dimensional time machine as we become extraterrestrials sailing through the great filter. This is one image from Solari's Space for Peace series. To live sustainably on Earth and in outer space, we need to design a circular economy that is radically different than the extraction economy that has been so detrimental to Earth's life support system. We need to create a global resource accounting system that considers our planetary boundaries and what we must do to not overshoot our resources. Such an ecological city doesn't exist. We must draw all our creative and cognitive talents and abilities to birth one into existence. Our goal is to know how to do such a tremendous task. Moving all our brain power into constructing arcologies would be a national mega project requiring mass participation. Once we figure out how to make a sustainable circular economy, we can live in outer space. We can live on orbital habitats. Biosphere 2 experiment in Oracle, Arizona, was a testing ground for building outer space colonies. It is another form of arcology. In Biosphere 2, everything within the closed container had to be recycled. Nothing toxic could be released into the environment. As in heaven, so on earth. An urban test site is vital to our planetary security. To complete the Arcology prototype, we need a superpower. Billionaires are proposing building new cities on federal lands. However, we need a democratic model funded by the American people. An urban test site taking a whole of government approach to get top research universities involved in its speedy execution is essential for its success. Social scientists can help us experiment with new forms of housing, which could include housing co-ops, land trust, co-housing, and nonprofit management systems. Arcology, as an analog test site for space colonization, has a double purpose as a settlement container for new worlds and a social experiment in new forms of cyber governance to live peacefully on Earth. Even though arcologies would have unique characteristics in different bioregions of Earth, the underlying ecological principles would be a unifying force. 20th century infrastructure was not engineered for our new climate reality. We must begin to build the prototype. Every bioregion in the United States needs to start such an arcology project. Each design would be different and built for the particular local environment. But to get the ball rolling, Arizona, the home of the world's first arcology, must create the momentum. The president must declare a climate emergency, activating the National Emergencies Act, giving him special powers to mobilize a World War II type effort to build zero carbon emission arcologies. This monumental task would significantly alter the course of our planet's future, potentially saving countless lives and preserving our environment. Calling on the Defense Production Act, industries are directed by the federally declared mobilization to repurpose the parts of the military-industrial complex to build a network of arcologies connected by a transcontinental high-speed rail system powered by a publicly owned renewable energy grid. Invoking the Stanford Act to coordinate a national response to the global crisis would organize universities to work in each sector of the arcology. The arcology model has the potential to solve 4 existential threats of global warming, societal breakdown, AI dominance, and nuclear war, with building a climate change adaptive architecture, renewed community involvement, and enlightened artificial intelligence, moving us from hyper-militarism to domestic tranquility through sustainable arcology design. One way to shift the architectural paradigm is through the polluter pays principle, in which reparations from dirty industries pay to build a clean arcology prototype. You never change things by fighting the existing system. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Buckminster Fuller. To terraform a breathable atmosphere on Mars, we must take primary life forms with us, the bacteria. Climate scientist James Lovelock called the microbial superorganism Gaia, named after the Greek goddess of the earth. Many of the world's religions equate breath with spirit. With the knowledge of Gaia, spiritual singularity unites consciousness so that we can move beyond social divisions that block us from the global cooperation needed to create mega projects such as Arcology and a world energy grid. Gaia is the substructure of all human religions, belief systems, mythologies, and philosophies. Gaia breathes life into arcology, all for arcology and arcology for all. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I want to thank everyone who made this possible. Thank you, Cosanti Foundation, NASA, and all the other photographers. And I just want to, I'm looking for feedback. I'm looking for partners in this. I'm looking for a way that we can build the democratic model of arcology. And we got to do it now. The time is now. Thank you.